This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
The Judge Jeanine Pirro, Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's bring in one of my favorite people, even though I think I've only actually met him in person once, but I always enjoy my conversations with Sean Spicer. He, of course, is the host of the Sean Spicer Show, at Sean Spicer Show, if you want to find that, and also a co-host of the Morning Meeting on the Two-Way app, which it's a must-listen. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to really promote the competition, so to speak, all that much, but let's face it, it's a very fractured media environment that we're in. People get their information from a lot of different places, and what I love about the Morning Meeting and Sean Spicer and Mark Halperin and Dan the Democrat is the fact that it's really an authentic conversation, and it's kept on the rails where people just don't yell at each other for like some sort of like contrived CNN sort of panel discussion. Like, it's actually real, authentic, and civilized, which is something that you don't get very often in any debate these days in 2025 America. Sean, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
I always enjoy that. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can watch the Morning Meeting 9 a.m. to 10, and then my podcast is every night at 6. So it's a great Father's Day gift. It's free. Just subscribe to the channel, send it to someone, and say, "Hey, thanks, Dad. Watch this."
Wow, I'm going to do that for my dad. There you go.
And it's free, so it's a last minute gift, and you just send that. And but the cool thing, just not to get off on a tangent, but I think one of the things that I love about doing the Morning Meeting every morning is we're not there to win you over. It's like to explain what's happening from both sides and how each side sees it. And so there's a lot, obviously, every day that Dan, the Democrat, as you mentioned, Dan Bernstein, he worked for Hillary. He was Hillary Clinton's finance chair. I obviously White House press secretary, RNC for 6 years. And I think part of it is so that when people see a story. And you know this from all your coverage of the media, it's like so many times we get a selective view or an edited view of an issue or a biased view. And you've been covering this for a long time. And so our view is, hey, look, here's the issue. Here's how the Republicans see it. Here's how the Democrats see it. And then we let people ask questions. I love it because I think it's fun to have that kind of a conversation with folks that most people don't get to see.
It's mature, right? It's actually like an adult conversation that we wish our lawmakers would have with each other more. But instead, we see Sean Spicer, Senator Alex Padilla, storm into a press conference by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Obviously, he didn't show identification before he went in. 99.9% of people outside of California have no idea who this person is, including security. So, yeah, when he was handled the way he was, it was completely justified when you consider what happened to Steve Scalise on that baseball field in Virginia for that congressional baseball practice a few years ago where he nearly lost his life. Several others shot as well. 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump. I could go on, but absolutely Democrats are in the wrong here. Was this staged, do you think? Was it contrived? Was this just to somehow show that Democrats are resisting even though their poll numbers are so bad that maybe they have to try another strategy or tact?
Yeah, great points on that. Two things to add to that. Number one, was it contrived? Of course it was. I mean, if a United States senator wants to talk to the secretary, and he was there for a meeting, if he wants to talk to her and get an answer, he knew that. He was there to meet with her, okay? He just saw that she was having a press conference and thought, hey, cool, I can create a moment. So he was meeting with her. That's right. So and ultimately did. But and apparently they said, hey, she's wrapping up this press conference, and that's when he went in. So the bottom line is that he knew what he was doing. This was a political stunt. Number two, to your point, Joe, when you go watch the entirety of this press avail that she's doing, he's talking and the cameras are focused on her because she's obviously, briefing the media on what's happening. It's 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That he's yelling at her before he identifies himself as Senator Alex Padilla. Now, just as a side note, because the Democrats keep saying, he identified himself. Like, I've been doing this a long time. And whether you're a protectee or if the roles were reversed, the Secret Service, who protects the Secretary of Homeland Security, because it's technically now it's under the Department of Homeland Security, so they protect her. They don't just because someone. Do you know how many nut jobs in my 6 years at the RNC walked into the front and said they were a king or a prince or some elected? I mean, you don't just go, "Oh, I'm Senator Alex Padilla. Let me." That's just not how it works.
Of course.
So they did their job. The security is agnostic. They see a threat and they neutralize it. And you gave some great examples of what they face. Alex Padilla, knew what he was doing. He tried to create a moment, and they did their job. And that's it. And the Democrats look at somehow. And the last thing I'll say is, if the roles were reversed, if this was Capitol Hill and Senator Padilla was giving a press conference and somebody started to come at him, yelling at him, Capitol Police in a second would have stopped that individual, detained them, and made sure they were who they say they were. They would have cited them for, whatever. But he doesn't, just because he's this is insane. This guy gets to say, "Oh, I'm Alex Padilla, so therefore I have the right to disrupt somebody."
That's exactly right. And that's the thing about this, that whether it be Cory Booker doing 25 hours on the Senate floor for a filibuster where you can't even tell me what exactly he was filibustering, that the performances that we are seeing from Gavin Newsom out of California, I just don't think the Democrats, I'm making a very obvious statement right now, that they don't have a leader that's saying, guys, all right, this is what we need to focus on, and this will be our message. It seems like everybody's acting in silos for their own self-interest. I can guarantee you that Alex Padilla probably can raise some nice money off of this. We suddenly now know his name when we wouldn't before. I think that's what we're seeing. We're talking to Sean Spicer.
Look, Joe, I think that the thing is that do they empower, do they grow in stature among themselves? Yes. So in other words, I think Alex Padilla or Gavin Newsom among leftists are probably more endeared to them at the end of the week than they were at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But is the broader cause further along? And I would argue no. I think Democrats have dug themselves into a deeper and deeper hole than most Americans, regardless of if you're not an extreme right on the extreme right or the extreme left. If you're just a middle of the road person, you look at what's going on and say, "Excuse me, why are we burning Apple stores and looting them because of ICE?" They've jumped the shark in TV parlance when it comes to this issue, and I don't think that there's any question. I think the Democrats some of these stunts may endear themselves to the hardcore leftist base of that they have, but they're not winning themselves any points with the American people, and that's the problem.
That's the thing, right? There are two tracks here. One track, if you're Gavin Newsom, for example, who really, really wants to be president, is to get the Democratic nomination when he runs in 2028, and you do that by going hard to the left, I think. I don't think you go to the center. And then from there, once you get the nomination, then you pretend that everything you said, like Kamala Harris did, didn't actually happen, and you try to pivot towards the center. So, I think, this gets him in a better position to win that nomination, but once you get to the general election, paint this temporary, film is forever. You're going to hear all these statements, him defending criminals who are murderers, rapists, and child molesters, saying that we have to battle back against ICE. That will drown him the way it did Kamala Harris, Sean.
Well, 100. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is the thing: is that they're thinking very short term. How do I get the nomination? And then. I joked yesterday on X or the day before or sometime in the last few days. Doesn't matter. If you care, go look at it. But I joked that Republican opposition researchers are telling Democrats, please stop. Because, what is at the RNC? We pay people to kind of dig through and document someone's, past statements and, maybe go through their financial records and see if they've, done anything, or court records. But what Gavin Newsom and some of these other folks are doing, it doesn't take. You're not going to need an opposition researcher if you're running for president, if you're J.D. Vance or whomever on the right. You're just going to go play the clip from California when they were protesting, quote unquote, and rioting, because it's not going to take more than that. Once you start saying to the American people, "I'm the guy who defended people," and it means just let's go back a second. If you're deporting. If you don't want to be deported in this country, and let's just role play for a second, Joe Concha. Yeah. I go, "Hey, Joe, ICE is coming from you," and you say, "Well, but I really want to stay here, and I don't want to be deported. I want to stay in America. I worked hard to get here. I've been living here for 10 years, and I don't want to leave." If I said to you, okay, Joe, do me a favor then, go wave the Mexican flag and throw rocks at federal agents, would you think that was a good idea or a bad idea?
Oh, boy. It's Rhetorical Sunday, so I'm going to go with a bad idea on that one. And that's the thing. I mean, these Mexican flags are everywhere. If you love that country so much, then go back. I think that's what most people, they watch their TV screens and said, don't be here then if you love your other country so much that you left because apparently you were oppressed. It makes no sense whatsoever. SeanSpicer.com. That is the website. Like and subscribe to his YouTube channel. It is free. It is a Father's Day gift, a great one for that matter. Yeah, so just want to turn to the bombing of the Iranian nuclear facilities by Israel, Sean. Brian Stelter now reporting that 99% of Iran is perfectly normal.
Joe Concha.
Sorry.
I got to stop you.
Okay.
Brian Stelter reporting. Come on. I know it's Sunday, and I'm in a forgiving, Christian mood today. But it's Father's Day. But Joe Concha, you can't in the same sentence say Brian Stelter of CNN reporting. Come on.
I was being ironical.
Good.
The sarcasm is supposed to ooze through. But yeah, the reason why I brought up Stelter in that regard is that when he said that 99% of Los Angeles, everybody's going about their day, he texted his friends in LA and they say everything's perfectly fine. Well, two things there. A, you have to believe that Brian Stelter has friends, which, I highly doubt having met him. But then two, at the same time, that's not the point. If 1% of Los Angeles, which is a sprawling city, is under complete and total duress, as you mentioned, Apple stores being burned, looted, cop cars, robo-taxis being burned, obviously, it's graffiti is everywhere, according to the Los Angeles mayor. And then Stelter has the audacity to say that. So I'm saying that when Israel bombed Iran, as far as the nuclear facility, Stelter would probably say that, 99% of Tehran is perfectly fine, so I don't think there's really a story here. I just find him like a comic book figure, and I just don't know how you dealt with it when you were press secretary. Like, would you read what he was reporting, again, scare quotes, and just be like, I can't believe anybody takes this guy seriously?
Yeah, well, first you have to read it, because it's sort of like why I watch Sunday shows on a day like today, because it's not that I take them seriously. I want to see who destroyed Margaret Brennan on CBS's Face the Nation. But part of it is that you have to know what's out there, because, we talked about the Padilla thing. If you listen to the Dems right now, they start the clip when he's getting, detained. And it's right. Wait, I want to know. So I needed to know it always. And I still do to this day, because I have, two shows where I want to know what the other side's saying. But Brian wrote the other day exactly. He put on Twitter exactly what you're saying. And I quote tweeted it and said, "Very good, comrade. Next time, please work in the word peaceful protest, the phrase peaceful protest." And it's true. It's that they reflexively go to defending people. The problem with an issue that we've seen in particular in LA is that the video, and you mentioned this with respect to Gavin and stuff, but we can see it. So yeah, I get it, but that's like saying okay, so let's just extrapolate what he's saying. He's like, for most of LA, it's not that bad. Okay, well, that's like saying when there's an earthquake that for most of the country, they're not affected with it. Well, that's context is always important, of course, but the idea that somehow they downplay the destruction and the looting and the violence and the vandalism, it's reflexive for them. And the thing that I find fascinating is I'm one of these guys that maybe it's sort of just military training. When you go through an evolution, I always will stop and go, okay, what went well? What did we do really well when we just did whatever, fill in the blank? And what can we improve? And if I'm Brian Stelter or the folks in the media, I go, okay, guys, look, the Russia hoax, Biden's mental decline, we blew it, right? So, gosh, how do we kind of show that we've learned our lesson and do better next time? And instead, they double down on stupid.
Yeah, it is 31 flavors of stupid. That is so true. SeanSpicer.com. That is the website. The morning meeting on the two-way app every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's a must-watch. I don't know how else to say this, but it's part of my...
Just to be clear, I would just say you can always... The easy answer to all this is just go to Sean Spicer's YouTube page, sign up for everything, and then you can watch the morning meeting, you can watch my 6 o'clock show. I've got it all. So that's to me, just make life simple. Go to my YouTube, sign up, hit the notification button, and then you never have to miss anything.
You know, that's a great point because we see that scene in Back to the Future where they wheel the TV in front of the kitchen table because Jackie Gleason and The Honeymooners was on, but you had to watch at a certain time. I mean, I sound so dated at this point, but yeah, you can listen and watch anytime you like at your convenience, and that's just the way media is these days. And you're so right about Stelter, by the way. It would be like Michael Jackson saying, you know, my hair is on fire, but the rest of my body is okay. It's like, no, that's not the way it works, certainly. Hey, Sean, they're telling me we got to go, but we will meet up at the infamous Irish Times sometime. I believe that's right by Union Station, if my memory serves me correctly.
It
is.
is.
That's right. Yes. Went to school down there, so it's been a while. But anyway, we got to go. But you have a happy Father's Day, and we really appreciate
By the
you
way,
joining.
I would just say this. I think we're old enough now that we can both afford the doubler. A little bit more adult and mature. But I think we've earned it.
Oh, that's funny. I'm a Mad Hatters guy myself from my Maryland days, but yeah, I have a feeling I wouldn't fit in there at this point. But they're saying, get out of here, Joe. We got to go to break. So, Sean, thanks so much again, and happy Father's Day, sir. You too. Take care.
You too. Take care.
All right, this is the Judge Jeanine Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Back with more in just a moment.
The Judge Jeanine Pirro Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.